The stars stretched like silver scars across the black canvas of space. Captain Ethan Cole stood at the forward observation deck of the USS Resolute, humanity's first long-range diplomatic cruiser, staring into the void. It should have been routine. It should have been a simple escort mission, ferrying an Earth delegation to a Galactic Council summit. But instead, they were here, beyond any charted lanes, where the Council's atlas labeled the region only with 3 words, "Here be silence." Ethan's reflection in the viewport was calm, but his pulse was not. He'd served long enough to know silence was never just silence, not in space. "Captain," Commander Sarah Holt said, her voice cutting through the low hum of the deck. Long-range scans just went dark. No interference. They just stopped. Ethan didn't move his gaze from the stars. Stopped? Every probe. Every drone. Simultaneously, Sarah said, stepping closer. "It's like something erased them. All at once." There was weight in her words, the kind that pressed against the lungs. "Put us on alert," Ethan ordered. Klaxons didn't scream, he hated panic, but the Resolute shifted into combat readiness with a subtle change in deck lighting. Weapons went live, shields rose, and the ship's pulse quickened like a living thing bracing for a fight. No one had seen this sector in centuries. The last recorded expedition here, a fleet of 7 alien explorers, had never returned. The Council declared the region forbidden, an unspoken graveyard. Now, humanity had been invited to prove its loyalty to the Council by investigating. A test, Ethan thought bitterly. They wanted to see if humans would survive where their own dared not tread. "Captain," the helmsman called from below. "We've got something. Bearing 095 Mark III. No IFF, no transponder. It's just there." "On screen," Ethan said. The holoprojector painted the object in shimmering blue light. At first, it looked like a derelict, a massive vessel, half buried in the debris of a shattered moon. But as the image sharpened, the bridge fell silent. The ship was alien, yes, but ancient. Its hull was covered in markings, not of any known language, but symbols that seemed to twist and change when looked at too long. "It's huge," Sarah breathed. "That thing could dwarf the Resolute." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Bring us closer." Slow approach. Shields full. As they neared, the alien vessel's sheer scale became clear. Its hull stretched for miles, a black silhouette against a dead star. It wasn't just big, it was regal, as if built not merely to travel, but to rule. Then the first shock came. "Captain," said the science officer, Dr. Marcus Hale, his voice trembling. "I'm reading life signs." "Life signs?" Ethan turned sharply. "On a ship that looks 10,000 years old?" "Faint. Minimal. But they're there." Ethan weighed his options. This was supposed to be reconnaissance, not first contact with something lost to time. But curiosity, that old human sin, burned hotter than caution. "Prepare an away team," Ethan said. "Sarah, you're with me. Marcus, you're our eyes." Minutes later, the team boarded the Resolute shuttle and descended toward the alien vessel. The airlock they found was still functional, which was disturbing in itself. When it opened, stale air hissed out, carrying the scent of dust, metal, and something older, something like a tomb. Inside, the corridors were vast, carved with glowing sigils that pulsed faintly as they walked. It was as if the ship were waking up, aware of their presence. "This place is," Sarah trailed off, sweeping her light over walls that looked like cathedral arches. "It feels alive." Marcus was scanning constantly, his device chirping softly. "The energy readings are off the charts. This technology isn't just ahead of the Council, it's beyond them." They reached what must have been the bridge, a circular chamber with a single massive throne-like chair at its center. And in that chair, slumped but unmistakably alive, was a figure. It was alien, yes, but humanoid enough to unsettle. Its skin was pale as marble, its eyes closed, its chest rising in slow, deliberate breaths. Before Ethan could speak, the alien's eyes snapped open. They were not eyes meant for mortals. "Humans," it said in perfect English. Its voice was deep, resonant, and carried an authority that froze every muscle in Ethan's body. So, the Atlas finally dares to send something beyond its coward's edge. Sarah's hand twitched near her sidearm. Ethan gave her a sharp look, no sudden moves. You know us? Ethan asked carefully. The alien smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I know your kind. I know the fire you carry. The others feared you would find this place. They were right. Ethan's mind raced. What is this ship? Who are you? The alien rose to its full height, towering over them, draped in dark, ceremonial armor that seemed to grow out of its body. I, it said, am Kaeldar, last of the Atlas Guardians. And you, humans, have just stepped into the war that ended empires before your species learned fire. The chamber's walls flared with light, revealing murals, battles painted in living color, showing fleets shattering, worlds burning, and a figure that looked suspiciously like Kaeldar standing victorious over them all. This region was locked, sealed, forgotten, because what sleeps here does not forgive, Kaeldar said. And now, your kind has awakened it. A distant rumble echoed through the ship, as though something colossal was stirring in the void outside. Marcus's scanner wailed. Multiple contacts surrounding the Resolute. They just appeared out of nowhere. Ethan's throat went dry. Hostile? Kaeldar's smile widened. Oh yes, he said softly. And this time, there will be no council to save you. The Resolute's calms were a storm of static when Ethan's voice cut through, sharp and commanding. Bridge, report. Captain, the helmsman's strained voice came back immediately. We're surrounded, unknown vessels on all vectors. No signatures match any known council registry. They're closing fast. Ethan's jaw locked. Raise shields to maximum. Weapons hot. If they fire, we return fire. Aye, sir. The away team was already running back toward the shuttle bay, Kaeldar's long strides effortlessly keeping pace with the humans. He moved like a predator, every step deliberate, every motion charged with purpose. You brought this on yourselves, Kaeldar said, his tone disturbingly calm amid the escalating chaos. They have been waiting, watching, for anything to cross the silence. And now, they have a target. We didn't come here for a war, Ethan snapped, ducking under a low arch as they neared the shuttle. Kaeldar's laugh was deep, bitter. War doesn't care what you came for. They boarded the shuttle and tore away from the alien vessel, the Resolute looming ahead. Beyond it, space writhed with movement, sleek, needle-shaped warships forming a predatory circle. Magnify, Sarah ordered. The holodisplay expanded, revealing the enemy ships in chilling detail. They were built for the kill, all spearhead design and forward-facing cannons that glowed with the promise of annihilation. Who are they? Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Kaeldar didn't even look at him. The Sightborn. The ones who ended the last war. They swore none would disturb this place again. You have broken that vow. The shuttle docked hard with the Resolute. Ethan stormed back onto the bridge, Kaeldar following silently. Status. Shields holding. They're hailing us, said the comms officer. Ethan nodded. Put it through. The viewscreen lit up with a face, or something wearing the approximation of one. The alien's head was elongated, its mouth a vertical slit lined with serrated teeth, and its eyes glowed an eerie violet. Human vessel, it hissed, voice crackling like static. You have trespassed on forbidden ground. You have awakened what was meant to sleep. For this crime, you will die. This is Captain Ethan Cole of the USS Resolute, Ethan said evenly. We are on a sanctioned mission under Council authority. We do not seek conflict. The alien's grin widened, a horrifying sight. The Council does not rule here. The Atlas ends where we begin. Prepare yourselves. The transmission cut, and a moment later, the first shot came. It wasn't a warning shot. The Resolute shuddered violently as a beam of crackling energy slammed into the shields, flaring them white-hot. Shields at 60%. Sarah called out. Return fire. Ethan barked. The Resolute's forward batteries thundered, lances of plasma streaking through the void and striking the nearest Scytheborne vessel. The alien ship twisted aside with impossible agility, but not fast enough. The blast sheared off a section of its hull. "Direct hit," the tactical officer shouted. But the victory was short-lived. Multiple incoming. The enemy fleet opened fire as one, a storm of energy bolts hammering the Resolute's shields. The deck buckled under Ethan's boots, alarms wailing, sparks raining from an overloaded console. Shields down to 30%. Ethan gritted his teeth. "Helm! Get us out of the kill box, evasive pattern Delta 4. The Resolute heaved hard to port, thrusters flaring, weaving through incoming fire. Kaeldar stood like a statue, watching silently as the battle raged. Then, without asking permission, he strode to the tactical console. "Move," he commanded the crewman manning it. The ensign looked to Ethan for confirmation. "Do it," Ethan said grimly. Kaeldar's fingers danced over the console with startling precision. "Your weapons are crude but sufficient. I will show you how to use them." Suddenly, the ship's targeting systems recalibrated, locking onto weak points the crew hadn't even known existed. "Fire," Kaeldar said. The Resolute's guns spoke again, and this time, the nearest enemy ship didn't just take damage, it exploded, its spear-shaped hull fragmenting into molten shards. "Holy hell," Sarah muttered. Kaeldar's expression didn't change. "Do not celebrate. There are more." Indeed, the rest of the fleet pressed in closer, their formation tightening like a noose. Ethan's mind raced. They couldn't win a war of attrition, not outnumbered and far from any reinforcements. "Marcus," Ethan said, "options?" Marcus scanned furiously. "There's a debris field, remnants of that shattered moon. If we can get into it, we might break their line of sight long enough to." "Do it!" Ethan snapped. The Resolute dove toward the debris field, enemy fire chasing them in brilliant streaks. A glancing hit slammed into the port shields, shaking the ship so hard Ethan nearly lost his footing. "Hull breach on deck 8. Seal it off. Keep us moving." They plunged into the dense field of broken rock, the ship weaving between tumbling fragments the size of mountains. The enemy followed. Ethan could feel his crew fraying under the pressure, every impact, every alarm ratcheting the tension tighter. Then Kaeldar's hand slammed down on the console. "Enough running." He turned to Ethan, eyes blazing. "Give me full command of your weapons systems." Ethan stared at him. "And why should I trust you?" Kaeldar stepped closer, his presence filling the bridge. "Because if you do not, you will all die, and the Atlas will fall to the Scytheborne once more." "Choose." Ethan's gut twisted. Trust an ancient warlord they barely knew or gamble everything on his crew's untested tactics against a superior enemy? "Do it," Ethan said finally. Kaeldar moved with sudden, terrible purpose. The ship's weapons roared to life, firing in precise, impossibly accurate volleys. One by one, Scytheborne ships were reduced to glowing wreckage. But the cost was brutal. "Shields at 5%. Sarah shouted. "We can't take another hit." Kaeldar's final salvo destroyed the last pursuer. For a moment, there was only silence, the kind that rang in the ears after a battle where death had brushed too close. The bridge crew erupted in ragged cheers, but Ethan didn't join them. Kaeldar stood motionless, staring at the wreckage drifting in the void. "This was only the first wave," he said, voice grim. "Now that they know you are here, they will send their hunters. And when they do, the true war begins." Ethan felt the weight settle on his shoulders. This wasn't just a skirmish. Humanity had just declared itself to forces that had shaped galactic history and survived. But at what cost? The wreckage of the Scytheborne fleet still floated in the void, burning like funeral pyres against the stars. The Resolute drifted in the shadow of the shattered moon, shields barely holding, engines running on emergency power. Silence filled the bridge, but it was not peace. It was the charged stillness before a storm. "Damage report," Ethan said quietly. "Hull integrity at 58%, Sarah replied, scrolling through the data. "Deck 8 is still sealed, but we've lost 3 compartments." Casualty reports are coming in, 18 confirmed. Ethan's jaw tightened. 18 too many. Before he could respond, Kaldar turned from the viewport. They will not give you time to grieve. The hunters will be here soon. Marcus looked up from his console. How soon? Kaldar's expression was grim. Hours. Perhaps less. And they will not come with scouts. They will bring their war hosts. Ethan crossed the deck, standing eye to eye with the alien. Then tell me how we stop them. Because we won't survive another wave like the last. Kaldar regarded him for a long moment, then gestured to the starfield. You have something no one else in the Atlas ever had, defiance. That is why I am still here. That is why I will show you the key. He held out his hand, revealing a small crystalline device that pulsed faintly. This ship, Kaldar said, nodding toward the derelict they had first discovered, is not just a vessel. It is a forge, a place where weapons were born that ended the last great war. Its power core still sleeps. Awaken it, and you will have a weapon capable of shattering the hunters before they reach you. Sarah frowned. And what's the catch? Kaldar's eyes glowed faintly. The catch is simple. Once awakened, it will not obey the weak. It will test you. And if you fail, it will destroy you as it destroyed the last who tried. Ethan stared at the device, weighing the choice. Do nothing and wait for annihilation, or gamble on an alien relic that could kill them before their enemies even arrived. Prepare a team, Ethan said. We do this now. The shuttle touched down again on the alien ship's hull, its lights cutting through the darkness. This time, the corridors were no longer silent. A deep hum reverberated through the walls, as if the ship itself was awakening. Kaldar led them to a massive chamber at the vessel's heart. A vast machine hung suspended in midair, a sphere of black metal surrounded by rings of rotating glyphs that spun lazily as if dreaming. This is the heart forge, Kaldar said. Place the key. Ethan stepped forward, the crystalline device heavy in his hand. As he placed it into the socket, the entire ship shuddered. The glyphs spun faster, flaring with white-hot light, and a wave of energy washed through the chamber, making every hair on Ethan's body stand on end. Then came the voice. It was not a voice heard with ears, but with the soul, a presence that filled the mind. Who claims the Heartforge? Ethan swallowed hard. Captain Ethan Cole of Earth. I claim it. You are small. Untested. Why should you wield power that humbled empires? Because if we don't, Ethan said, his voice steady, everything we know will burn. We fight not for conquest, but survival. The presence seemed to weigh him, every word, every thought. Show me. The chamber dissolved around Ethan. He stood suddenly on a field of ash, under a sky torn with fire. Shapes moved in the smoke, giants of metal and beasts of war, charging toward him. Instinct took over. He grabbed a fallen spear that appeared at his feet and braced as the first creature lunged. He fought, again and again, every battle a test, not just of strength, but of resolve. Each time he fell, he rose again, bloodied but unbroken. When the last enemy fell, the field was silent. You endure. The voice rang with something that might have been respect. Take the forge, human. Write your legend. The vision shattered. Ethan gasped, back in the chamber, the heartforge blazing with light. Kaldar was watching him, a rare smile ghosting his face. It chose you. Good. The machine extended panels, reshaping into a massive control console. Use it, Kaldar said simply. Back aboard the Resolute, the crew worked feverishly as energy from the Heartforge was transferred into the ship's systems. Weapons glowed with an otherworldly brilliance, shields surged back to full power, and the entire vessel thrummed with a new, dangerous life. Then the hunters arrived. A fleet of warships dropped out of FTL, not a handful, but dozens, forming a wall of death across the stars. Here we go, Sarah murmured. Ethan stood tall at the center of the bridge. Target the lead ship. Captain, Marcus said nervously, if this doesn't work. It'll work, Ethan said. The Resolute fired. What left its cannons was not a beam, not plasma, but a column of pure white light, the raw will of the Heartforge, made manifest. It struck the lead ship and tore through it as if it were made of glass, the blast punching through 2 more ships behind it before dissipating in a starburst. The bridge was silent. Then Kael'thar laughed, a deep, booming sound that made every hair stand on end. Yes. Now you understand. The hunters broke formation, panic rippling through their ranks. But Ethan did not hesitate. Advance, he said. We finish this. The Resolute charged, cutting through the enemy fleet like a scythe through dry grass. Every shot from its newly forged weapons reduced another hunter to wreckage, until the stars were littered with burning hulks. At last, the final ship turned and fled into FTL, vanishing into the dark. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Ethan simply exhaled, the weight on his chest finally lifting. We did it, Sarah said, breathless. Ethan nodded slowly. No. We started it. Kael'thar stepped forward, his gaze sweeping across the human crew. Today, the Atlas has changed. The Sideborn will not forget this day, and neither will the galaxy. He turned to Ethan, eyes gleaming. You have become the beginning of a new legend. See that it is one worth telling. Ethan stared out at the stars, the wreckage drifting like ghosts around them. Then let's write it right, he said softly. And with that, the Resolute turned from the graveyard and jumped to the stars, no longer a lone ship on the edge of the map, but the first stroke in a story that would be told wherever the Atlas dared to end.